what's that saying? It's better to have the devil you know than the devil you don't know. Right? Did you ever hear that one before?
Yeah.
And but it's true. Like it's so funny. There have been so many opportunities this week alone to blow up this whole move thing, and I'm just sitting here going, like my ex reacted to me yesterday, and I just said to him, I go, dude, we're on the same page. We just need to work through the communication on this stuff. But I was able to be in neutral and responding. I didn't hide out and dread his phone calls. I didn't, and I just, because I'm like, but I have to let go of every story and every behavior and every word and every way that he was an asswipe to me and my kids to get this next thing done. Right. So it's like, we all have that letting go thing, because I had just had it the other day, and that's why I posted that I am activating the highest timeline in this lifetime right now, and I'm letting go of everything that doesn't serve that highest timeline. Because it's not only attracting what it is that you want, but you also have to create that space, right? That was the whole point in that, is that you have to create the space for the next, right? That's why one of the simple assignments that I give people, maybe you don't know how to create the space for the new stuff, but all you got to do is go clean out your closets, right? Create space by reducing your debt. Create space by not spending that time with that person that's annoying the shit out of you right now, right? That creates emotional space, right? Create the space of just hiding out in your house and not plugging into the world with all the cray-cray going on right now. Right? All of that is creating space. So wherever that space needs to be had for you, just take that time, because you've got to let things go to let the new come in. There's only so much your energy field can hold, and before you jammed up. And I have an incredible capacity. The one thing that has happened for the first time in my entire life is I found my capacity in this divorce process. I used to be able to just take it on and pile it on. Boyfriend is I can't believe all the shit you do. And I'm like, what's the problem? It's just how I'm wired. Right? And I function very well like that. It energizes me to function that way. But I found my limit. Right? I found my limit. My threshold's higher than most people, but that's okay. That's not good or bad. So Liz, what is it that you can let go of this week? Tell me. That when we've ignored our heart for that long, we don't even know what it feels like to listen to our heart. Mm-hmm. We really have no idea, because if we've ignored it for so long, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sitting here going, what do I want? I'm like, And I'm just I'm not sure, but I'm staying open to knowing what that is. And people around me will get pissed off that I don't get the answer fast. Right?
Right.
And it's really just coming into a place of just even I have to put my hand on my heart. I'm thinking of when I first started doing it, what I was thinking of is I would put my hand on my heart. I'm like, okay, what do you want? I would just literally go, what do you want? And a lot of times the answers were blank. Hello? I would start talking. I'd start tapping. And what was interesting is that when I started tapping, my hypothalamus right here in my chest, sore as hell. I'm curious, you guys, tap right there. Right in your breastbone. Is it sore for anyone? Farther down, Chris. Right in your chest, right? Is it sore to anybody? No? You guys are good at me then. Well, you all have been using your heart muscle a little bit more than me. Mine always gets sore. Right? But not good or bad. It's just that's a physical sign for me that align more with my heart. My chiropractor, every time I go, the backside of my back, right in the backside of my heart is always the hardest part for her to pop. Right? because I've got that wall. I'm not going to be so vulnerable, right? I'm going to toughen up and, because as we navigate through the world, that's not so easy, when people squash our hearts. When you've called them in to test you to squash your hearts, I'll say. Right? And the question is, do you let them or do you not? Right?
Right.
So Liz, that is like music to my ears, hearing everything that you're saying. Right? Even for those of you who have worked with me for longer than Liz has, like that's a great reminder, right? Because you got to walk around and just be like, I am deserving of financial wealth. I am deserving of financial wealth. And see in your body where that just triggers you, because you just have to feel the feelings that are stuck in your body in the place where you're holding that not deserving button. Right? Okay. If you walk around and you just say that mantra all the time, when I recognized this for the first time, that this was something that mine was a safety thing, because so it was, I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. It literally took me 6 weeks of walking around saying this all the time to myself to finally, because it was buried so deep in my system, that finally the feelings came up and I felt the feelings. So that gives you, that's creating some of the space, right? Mm-hmm. So that can move through. I still understand that most of these solutions are pretty easy. They're not as difficult as like so many of these old processes or spiritual teachers or even therapists like would tell you. Like seriously, all you have to do is align with the energy in the inside, and then the outside's going to shift. Right? So like if I just be the big, Billy will remind me of this all the time. He's like, he goes, I know I'm not communicating right, but could you just please be the love that you are, the love bug that you are? And I'm just like, I'm trying, but when I hit my tilt button, like he just goes, just be the love that you are. And it's like, okay. Like, it was funny. I was yesterday I had the experience of being that for my mom yesterday. My mom is now at a point where she can't open up her eyes and she can't speak because the disease is shutting her down. And so yesterday I walked in and I was like, it was interesting. I walked into like little blowups and I'm like observing going, oh, my sister's going apeshit on the phone to my mom's friend, telling her how crappy she is to my mom. And I'm like going, oh, and then my dad's yelling about my mom's siblings not showing up while she's on her deathbed. And I'm like going, wow, everyone's in their shit. And I just was like, it's okay. Everybody, my mom is a sounding board for so many people, and all the people she's a sounding board are losing their footing. Right? And so I could observe this. And then I walk in, I was like, because I've gotten to such a place, and this is a gift from my ex-husband, right? That I'm neutral in everybody's reactivity because I'm used to reactivity, right? With narcissists with borderline personality disorder, greatest gift, right? And I just was like, oh, my mom needs something right now. And she couldn't, I tried to get her to sip from a straw. She now can't sip from a straw. So I was just holding the straw, you know how you can get the water in it. And then I just held it over her mouth and I let it go and it poured into her mouth. And then she could swallow. And then I could just see her tongue move a little bit. I'm like, okay, just keep moving your tongue if you want more, Mom. And so she'd move her tongue and I'd give her more, kind of like a baby, right? And then it took her 15 minutes. She grabbed my hand on her left hand, took her 15 minutes to pull it up to her face, and she's shaking, and she's trying to like get her lips, and then she finally got it, and she kissed my hand. And I was just like, but if I didn't have the space in my own nervous system, like I talk about creating space, like I would have never been able to tune into that. So I have learned how to be a love bug from this lady, right? Like she was my teacher. And so it's like, oh, like David and I did a session. We were both up at 5:00 this morning, and David and I did a one-on-one session. And it was like, oh, my mom was able to be the love in the world, but she actually really wasn't a big accomplishment. Like, right. She just held space and was love. But so I'm the one combining the two, being in the world and the love, right? My mom just kind of hit on her house and was the big love bug for 12 kids. Right. So the key is just holding that space for whatever it is that's coming up within self, right? And so Donna, so as you start to unpack this deserving button of yours, it's gonna open up that next layer, right? So you're gonna feel more vulnerable, right? Like, I don't know if this is true for you, Donna. You and I are the same age, but and so as those of you youngins start getting a little older, you'll start to realize going, I was this at one point in my life. Like Donna will constantly talk about how before she married her ex, she was that and she was fine. And then this whole thing with her marriage derailed her. Right? Like that was the test. I have those same experiences where it's like, I was that when I was in my early 20s and out in the world. And I'm like going, why did I derail myself for 30 years? I'm not really sure. But I did. And I get it. It's my soul's journey. But again, these spiritual teachers will tell you, just remember who you are. I'm like, what the f- does that mean? You know, like, I don't know what that means. You know, just remember what? Drives me crazy. And that's where I just go, like, just surrender into self and everything that arises for your highest and best good. So by you saying, I am deserving, I am deserving, I am deserving, it's going to create that space so that you can get back to self. That's like logistically how it occurs, right? Liz, no different than you're surrounding yourself, you're not surrounding yourself with a person who doesn't pay their paychecks on time. You're surrounding yourself on the thing that connects you to self. Because it's really not about me and it's not about anyone else, but it's about them. As you start to step into these pieces, you don't know how great it's going to get. Right? When it starts to open up, it doesn't matter why. Okay. It doesn't matter. That's what jams you up. Me up, too. I used to want to know the why behind everything. Now I don't give a fuck about any whys. All I care about is, can I just get there? Just get me there. I literally, like, I cannot tell you, there is a fighting part of Julie. Oh my God, I'm Braveheart. I am Mel Gibson in Braveheart, and I will die to the death and my morals and fucking hold that shit down. And I swear that goes in my DNA all the way back to my Irish roots, right? And the challenge is that my ego does not want to say, it doesn't really matter what's coming out of their mouth. My ego wants to fight it all day long. And I literally said to somebody the other day going, okay, well, I know the fighting part of me needs to completely die in this process. So I'm sorry for that I've not held a safe space. I'm sorry, you know, and all of a sudden it was just like everything shifted just because I acknowledged that the fight in me has to die and my heart needs to lead it because it was something that just triggered me beyond belief. And we get there, you know, so that created space in me, but it created everything to move instantaneously. Like it was instant with the other people involved. 30 seconds flat. It didn't take days or weeks on end for it to shift, right? It's kind of like, Liz, how I told you, like with your boss, like you don't necessarily need to decide whether or not you want to stay with your boss. You just have to decide that you would like your paychecks on time.
Right.
And your boss might shift or you might get a new job, right?
Right.
Stay agnostic. Stay completely agnostic. You just have to hold the space. Because remember, the heart space is the allowing and the acceptance, right? It's the love. That's the heart, right? So you have to accept everything that arises. That creates a lot of space. So anything that happens and it rises and it triggers you, just allow it and accept it. Just be like, oh, okay. Because then you're not plugging into it and lowering your vibration and jamming up your energy. Right?
Right.
Like I went to my chiropractor this morning, little hectic morning because I had to fit that in along with everything else because I knew I was slightly off. And she goes, Julie, I just have to tell you, between your mom, your ex, your kids, your work, the things you're trying to build and maintaining a business, your physical body's doing really, really good. She goes, normally I see people's bodies just fall apart with one of the things that you're dealing with. And I was going, okay, all right, doing something right. Right? Like going, okay. Right. And so it's like celebrate those things. Like I just knew, and I was going to disappoint the client. I literally had to get to the chiropractor at 9:00, and I'm going, this client always wants me on Zoom. And I was just like, I have to do it on a phone call, because literally I did it on a phone call while I just got out of the chiropractor, through the drive-through at Starbucks to give me my Starbucks for the day, because I went to the chiropractor. I didn't have time to get that before everything else. And then get upstairs in a garage, and I walked her through everything. She still got what she needed. I was able to do it on a phone call. Right. So this is how you just still get it done. And she's like, no, I really just want to talk to you today. And I don't care if it's on the phone. It's all good. So it's perfect. Right. So it's adapting. Right. Does that make sense to everybody?